So the mission is to shrink this top down, put rounded corners on it, and resculpt this edge onto the top, and then apply a new finish. Part of that job means disassembling this doweled mortise and tenon frame and shrinking it too. So it might be a little bit of a pain to take apart, but shortening up the base should not be all that much trouble. But let's start with the top. So we'll go for the low-hanging fruit first, and that is to just trim off the 18 inches off the end. And the way we're going to do that, we'll go ahead and put some 2x3s underneath here, and what they will do is catch the end. That way we don't get a long little splinter torn off the top. Okay, looking here from the edge of the blade to the edge of the little saw frame here is 1 1/8 inches. And I know that the blade is 1/8 of an inch thick. So we'll subtract that 1 1/4 inches from the 18 inches. And that is where we'll put our guide fence. Now, because my work table is so tall, I need to get up on a ladder to be able to reach all the way across. Now we want to come in here and mark each corner with a nice rounded arc, and if you've been around the channel a while, you might recognize this from the Tripoli board project we did last year. I don't know why I hung on to it, but I'm glad I have it now, because the radius of this arc looks just right for this table here. Not only does that blade suck, this saw sucks. I've had this thing since I was a teenager. I think it's time to get a new one. Alright, this saw has really served me well, but it's got some issues. The base plate of it will walk itself into an angle, so your cut will end up going wonky on you. You know, I don't really have any particular brand loyalty. I don't really care if it's a yellow tool or a red tool, and I've got some friends, really smart people, who will tell you that a red tool's better than a yellow tool, or the green tool is nowhere near as good as the blue tool. And the fact of the matter is, when you get right down to it, if the tool you have does the job just fine, it's good enough. Anyway, I went over there to the local home center, and this was one of the last saws on the shelf. It was an open box, so they gave it to me for 25% off. It did not come with a blade, but I've actually used one of these before, and as I recall, it cut pretty nicely. Yeah, these modern blades are pretty cool. They got like a T-slot thing, and it just slips in there, and it's pretty solid. This thing kind of sounds like George Jetson's car. Now, the original reclaimers did not round over this edge. They left it fairly sharp, so I think I'm going to do the same. I'm going to come in here with the orbital sander and round off these corners, and then we'll flip it over and route a radius onto the top edge, just like they did in the original build. Now, just like we did in the beginning, we'll put some support under there, so when it finishes the cut, it doesn't tear off a big splinter. So what they did was they came in and they cut off a 1/2 inch by 3/8 inch corner off the end of each of this apron sides, and then that created the slot tenon to go into the mortise. Okay, that one fits. This one's a little large, and I'm reluctant to come in here and try to trim that little bit off with the router, so I'm going to just do it with the hand chisel. One thing you want to make sure of when you're doing tight joints like this is you want it tight, but you don't want it too tight, because if it's too tight, it'll squeeze all the glue out and the joint won't have any integrity. The glue is an essential part. Okay, now that fit is looking pretty good. I need to go get some 3/8 inch dowel. Gonna get that next, then we'll put it back together. All right, one thing I want to do before I glue this together is I want to make sure that it is locked into place in the actual place where it needs to be. The other thing I want to do is make sure there's some wax paper under there. That way any glue that squeezes out from the joint will not stick the frame to the table. Now we'll let this set up overnight and come work on it some more tomorrow. Now, one thing I was worried about on this job was finish, and turns out the original finish was nothing but the same stuff, wax. So you come in here and look at the newly exposed wood, and that is a perfect color match. The client is going to be very happy with this. So these here were the leaf extensions, but we're not going to use these anymore. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to trim these off about here and screw them on to fill these holes, because you know, it'll make a nice little appearance sticking out there. And there it is, complete. Well, the client is going to be really happy with that, and I am very happy with the color match that wax produced. That's the one thing I worry about on a job like this, is the color match of the finish, and that just came out perfect. Anyway, that's all for this week. Thanks for stopping in. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Click up here to see my last video. Click over here to see something of mine that YouTube thinks you'll like, and have a good one.